Everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Far Left Lane podcast. My name's Kevin, and I'm joined with Matt.
So, hey, dude, next week is your birthday. Um,
It
so
is.
that kind of makes this the birthday episode. Happy birthday, buddy.
Oh,
What
nice.
what are you doing for your big day?
I actually took the day off work. I'm gonna be. I
Cool.
requested off. I normally don't do that. Like usually birthdays are just another day. Um, but
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be
we're
lazy,
old
sleep
men.
in. Yeah. Um, Probably get some pizza for dinner. I think we're planning on going to Mellow Mushroom.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't really care about birthdays either, but I do like to wish my friends happy birthdays still. Do you have any talking points today? I have a
Yeah.
couple.
I have a few. Let's talk about Pepper
I like
X.
spicy.
Have you read about Pepper
Pepper
X?
X. I've had it before. I think like one of the hot ones, Last Dabs, is Pepper X.
Is it really?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
okay, so
They have a Pepper X Last Dab. Yeah.
okay, so I was reading about it on Monday. Like they made it sound like it was a new thing, um, where it broke the world record against the Carolina Reaper.
Yeah,
So this has been around for a
yeah.
while, huh?
The pepper's been around for a while. I guess it just wasn't measured
Yeah,
officially
yeah.
until recently. It's yeah, it's got a good flavor. I think it's actually crossbred with a Carolina Reaper.
Right.
Um, that guy Smoking Ed Curry who breeds all these peppers. He's a wacky dude. I like him though. He'll just eat like a whole pepper and he'll be like, it's very fruit forward. And and then the next 3 hours I was like on the ground having cramps, thinking I was gonna die. He's a wacky guy.
Yeah.
um, yeah, have you
Yeah.
tried the last dab? Like any of them?
s- I have. You actually sent me a bottle last year, I
I was
think.
just thinking, I was like, I might have sent you one.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't
so
know.
is that
I don't know
Pepper
if that
X in
was
there?
Pepper X, but
The
I don't think
Apollo
that was
Last
Pepper
Stab.
X. I don't know. Maybe no, that's different. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a different one. Um, I don't know, but yeah, the original Last Dab is very good, and then whatever the one I sent you was the worst one, so I apologize for that. I remember because I got it too, and I was like, this is not even like the Last Dab. It was like made with like distillates and stuff. It was weird.
Yeah.
Um, I I actually just made a batch of sauce the other day. It's been, I mean, I made it a month ago and it's been
Mhm.
fermenting, but I just, blended it up with a little vinegar. It's super simple. I mean, it's basically like a Tabasco type sauce because
Okay.
it's like fermented peppers, salt, and vinegar. That's it.
Which pepper did
Um,
you use for it? Or did you use a mix
I
of
use a
peppers?
Fresno,
Fresno?
a Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's gets you pretty close to a Tabasco pepper.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I just bottled it, and I'm gonna let it kind of like temper or settle out in the fridge for a little bit. If it's good though, and if I don't die of botulism, I would like to send out
Yeah,
some
that'd be
bottles
cool.
to my friends.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the so Pepper X, I when I read it, it was talking about the Guinness Book of World Records saying, oh, it beat out the
Uh
Carolina Reaper, like it's like a million Scoville
huh.
units hotter. When I read that, I just assumed, oh, it's a brand new pepper. So I didn't realize it's been around for, you know,
Mm,
how long do you think it's been around for?
probably a couple years
A
because
couple years, yeah.
the
That's kind of
I
delayed
feel like
though,
there's been like a
right?
I don't know, maybe just like maybe they tested it before and it had like it wasn't impressive, and then maybe he crossbred it again. I don't know.
Uh,
But that's the thing. It doesn't really matter because he's just gonna crossbreed it with the next hottest pepper that someone crossbreeds it with, and then it's gonna be fatal eventually. It's just gonna
yeah.
be used for like industrial reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
the
not I like spicy foods, but I don't like seek out like, oh, I want to eat the hottest thing. Like I don't want my sinuses to be
uh
draining while I'm eating food and stuff. I like spiciness, but I also like flavor of the peppers and stuff and like, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
I totally know what you mean. I'm kind of actually picky about hot sauce, despite being like, crazy about it. I'm very picky because sometimes I'm just like, this doesn't actually taste good. It's spicy, but it's like overpowering the food, or I don't know.
Like some
I'm such a picky person
capsaicin
about
extract. Like that sounds.
extract. That
Yeah,
that does not taste good. That
it doesn't.
ruins hot
Yeah.
sauce and it ruins food. I mean, that's really meant to be for like pepper spray. That's the only
Right.
reason that I'm gonna look on that guy. That guy's company is called Pucker Butt. Not a sponsor, but hey, I'll give you a free plug. Pucker Butt hot sauce. It's pretty good. They have one that I just finished, and I'm gonna look it up. And I think it was Pepper X that was in it. And if it is, I want to send you a bottle of it because it was a really good sauce, and it wasn't overwhelming. It was used appropriately.
Yeah. It
Smoking
definitely
egg
is
curry.
Pepper X. It's not like Pepper 10. For the longest time, I was calling the iPhone 10 the iPhone
Yeah,
X because that's the way I looked at it. I
yeah.
mean, it has an X,
Uh,
right? I don't know.
right. I know what you
I
mean.
can't be the only person that does that though.
I uh, I want to throw something out there right now. I have this might be interesting. We got some fan mail. Let's read some fan mail.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is from uh, Thomas Tisdale in Saskatchewan, Canada. All right. If you want to send us fan mail, you could just like leave a comment or
Snail
or
mail
X
something to us.
us. Yeah. Or you could send us something to our PO box. Um, okay, so it says, man, this guy's writing sucks. Hey, Kevin and Matt, please help. I need your help. Jeez, dude. Okay, I'm trying to live my best life by following my dreams and being an Olympic figure skater. Okay, that was hard to read. The problem is I'm not very good, and I come from a big hockey family who doesn't respect figure skating. Oh man. How do I gain confidence on the ice and win a gold medal to honor my family and country? Thanks, Tommy. Um, that's a tough situation, Tommy, because like you want to be the best at something you admitted you're not good at. That
Mm,
might be a
I
problem.
feel like you might be setting
But
yourself up for
also,
failure.
yeah, it kind of seems that way. Have you ever been ice skating, Kevin?
I have. There's a place really close to me where I can do ice skating. I'm not good at it, but
Did you enjoy it? Yeah.
it's fun. I definitely wouldn't like brag about it. Be like I'm an ice skater. That seems like a strange. I don't know. But
Yeah, I
to
did
each
it
their
once,
own.
and I didn't care for it. I just felt really awkward. I don't know. I was moving like one of those robots, so it
Yeah.
was awkward. I would say to Tommy though, if you want to be the best, you just got to practice like crazy. What is
Mhm.
that 10,000 hours saying to get good at something?
Yeah.
If you want to win a gold medal, you got to do 100,000 hours, Tommy. You need to be on the ice all day. I don't know. I think you are setting yourself up for failure, dude. Don't put yourself in a situation like that. But if you do want to be the best, just keep doing it and don't stop. Don't ask for permission.
Yeah.
Be undeniably good. That's it. Thanks for writing in, Tommy.
Thank you,
Um,
Tommy.
yeah. Anyone else that wants to, have Kevin and Matt solve your problems? PO box, comment section, X, Twitter. Um, reach out.
Yeah. Speaking of X, the competitor Truth Social, did you hear Biden this week? I guess his administration joined Truth Social.
I didn't know that. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that was still a thing.
Apparently it's still a thing
That's
because
crazy.
I know Trump uses it. I don't know how many other people. I don't have an account. Um, but
Yeah.
I was looking at some screenshots because they were apparently after Biden joined, they were I don't know if they were trolling people on there, but they made some posts and I was just looking at the interface and it's so similar to Twitter or X. Like the
Yeah.
retweet and stuff they have. Like they call it what do they call it? A
Yeah.
retruth. That's a great.
That's dumb.
It is.
That's
It's
silly.
so like unapologetically they're just copying.
I wonder how many active daily users they have.
My guess is
I wonder if
when
that's even.
it's a number I'm sure they know, but they probably don't publicly like disclose that. But
Yeah,
I'm sure a ton of
probably not.
people. I'm sure it's just like the other. What was the other conservative social network that people flock to? Um,
Um,
uh,
Rumble.
there's Rumble. That's like YouTube, but there's one that was a competitor to Facebook. Um,
I'm
what
not
was that thing
sure.
called? I feel like we were talking about it a couple years ago. That's I think when it was popular, but
Hmm.
it seems like my guess is a lot of people flock to it like when they first launch, and then
Hmm.
they're like, oh, nobody's on here, or only a couple people are on here, and then they get off of it. I'm wondering if that's how Truth
Yeah.
Social's like. A bunch of Trump supporters maybe went over there, and then they probably just don't use it very often.
I wonder how many bots are on there. I wonder if you can audit it. I'd love to know like what's going on behind the scenes.
Like as a,
I don't predict that's gonna
you don't think it'll
I don't predict
overtake
that Truth Social will survive. I don't know, 2025. I think it'll be completely obsolete by then.
2 years? Yeah, that seems accurate. Unless they want to just bleed money, I guess they could do that. Or just have a really shitty
Yeah, I
website
don't
where there's
know.
like we have it running on like one server and it's in somebody's like basement, uh, but the site's like super slow. I guess they could keep it up for a while if they don't have a lot of users.
So
But
Trump owns it with other people. I'm assuming other
I,
partners.
I have not looked into who owns it, but I'm pretty sure Trump has has a stake in it. But I'm sure there's probably some
I,
other.
I
Yeah,
wonder. He might have just like got a bunch of suckers to buy it, and he put his name on it, like just like he brands everything. It's sort of like his.
like the
It is
Trump
sort of
cards, Trump
Trump's
stake.
social.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the buildings and everything. Like it could be that he could have very little skin in the game.
yeah. That is an easy
That's
way
kind of
to.
the way he operates.
Yeah.
I saw this article talking about one of the biggest things that's getting him into legal trouble is overvaluing things. Like Mar-a-Lago, he's like it's worth billions,
Right.
billions. But I mean, isn't anything just worth what you could sell it for? Isn't that kind of like how it breaks down?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would be hard to like prove either way that he was lying because you could say, "Oh yeah, somebody would
Mm.
might pay that."
Right. I mean, you could say like after his presidency, it's even more historical and more valuable.
Right.
I mean, who's to say? I
Yeah,
don't
I don't know.
understand
I
how
don't
that
know
could
how
get you in
much of a
trouble.
I don't know how much of a case they have with that. Like I heard about that too.
Hmm.
It seems like there's some legitimate stuff that they could go after Trump for, and then a lot of stuff that seems kind of frivolous to me. But
Oh, I feel like there's a bunch of they're wasting a lot of time with the frivolous
yeah,
stuff. You know,
for sure.
I mean, none of these indictments mean anything. They're just like public shaming. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
we need something big, an actual like RICO case.
yeah.
That's what we need.
Well, like some of the
Mm.
indictments, though, like the interference in the election, where like that stuff has a little bit of, I would say, has some backing for it, right? It
Yeah,
can be,
probably.
yeah.
Who do you think is his? Who do you think is his VP? These announcements are going to be really soon.
Oh, really?
They
I
have to be. Yeah,
I don't know. To be honest, I have not looked into this at all. Like, have you done any research? Like, what do you think?
I don't think there's anything like publicly. Like, I don't think you can like chat GPT it. I think it's just like kind of we could speculate like
Yeah,
who would be beneficial for him. I don't know. I mean, that was really worrisome though when Tulsi was like, "Yeah, I'd consider it." I'm like, "What? Like how far you
yeah.
fallen?"
I'm not surprised. Like, as a former
She's still so
Tulsi
pretty
fan,
though.
yeah, as a former Tulsi fan, I was like, what is she doing for like the last 2 years?
I really thought she was going to go with RFK Jr. I was like, "That's perfect."
So yeah,
They're both like
when you thought that, where did you like hear something that she was saying like just good things about RFK Jr. or you just thought their politics kind of aligned?
I just thought it made sense, like Democrats switching to independent,
Okay, yeah.
that, and then there's just some things that it seems like they're aligned, like they have it like an alignment, and
Hmm.
then also just the fact that it's a good balance, him and this pretty, you know, military former military woman.
Yeah, they have very similar foreign
I don't know.
policy stances, which mesh well.
It just looked good to me when
Yeah,
I pictured it, like, and when I pictured on merch, when I pictured them like holding hands, like I was like, that's the winning ticket. Um, I don't know,
maybe you
but
need to maybe you need
that
to go.
he
You should have been his political advisor. You probably could have, or Tulsi's. Be like, you should go with RFK.
I wish she didn't already make those statements about Trump. Um, but yeah, they I don't know. Actually, Donald probably has more time to choose his running mate, but RFK has he has to pretty much get it together by January. Because like the first state that he has to file is Utah. Their deadline is like the first week of January
Hmm.
to get on the ballot.
Right.
And he has to have a running mate to get on the ballot. That's another one of the rules.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to choose pretty soon. I think Trump, since he's already like gonna be on all the ballots, he has more time. I don't know who he's gonna choose though. It's really a make or break thing.
I mean, it didn't seem to me it didn't make sense that he chose Mike Pence back in 2016.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was more for like to get the evangelical vote. I I could be wrong,
Mm.
but
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it, but also it's like Donald Trump has flip flopped on part like politics so many times. He went with an old school Republican, like a real deal Republican. Sort of like it was just a good counterbalance. Like when Bush chose Cheney or Bush's people chose Cheney, it was a
mhm.
perfect this old very knowledgeable guy. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really care who he's running with. I'm just kind of interested in like thinking about it. Like what the path to the White House.
Yeah, it would be. I'd be interested
Just thinking out loud.
in the debates next year, whenever they have the presidential debates. If Biden doesn't show,
Mm,
like, there's so many like news channels that are going to want to do a debate for him, right?
right.
And that you
Yeah.
have you have independents that are going to want to discuss things. So I wonder if we're going to have a
Hmm.
situation, because I think we talked about this privately, off the podcast, but
Mm,
it doesn't. I don't know how
mm.
Biden's gonna. It seems like that would be very risky for him to do a debate, right?
It's
Even after
risky
the
either
primaries.
way because it's risky if he doesn't debate because it's so transparent why he's not debating. Why they're not going to put him on the
Yeah.
stage, and then if he does, I mean, he's just like one gaffe away from being like completely like 25th Amendmented. It's yeah, he's in a tough spot. Um, but man, he's signing big checks right now, so
Is he?
maybe he's not
Oh,
super
you're talking. Oh,
popular.
yeah. I see what you mean. You're talking about
Yeah,
the. I was like, what are you talking about?
he,
Are we getting some
yeah.
stimulus?
I'm saying maybe
Are we getting some Biden
no,
bucks?
we're not getting any, but man, a lot of the world is getting
Talking about
some
foreign
pretty
aid,
big
yeah.
paydays. $105 billion. It's like when you look at the breakdown of it too, it was I think like 6 billion of that was for the southern border, and all the rest of it was for war. I was like, wow, that
Our
sucks.
southern border for the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Which now it seems like everyone is finally paying attention to that.
Hmm.
Before it was like, oh, it's a humanitarian issue, but now it's like, mm, we might be over. The system might be overwhelmed and broken.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really have any
Any other
thoughts on it.
politics?
Um,
I know we have
no,
some space
just
stuff uh, that we talked about
yeah.
during. Yeah.
There's a lot of little space things. Actually, today is sort of a historic day in space history, just because in 1959, today is the day that Dwight D. Eisenhower pretty much legitimized NASA.
Oh, really?
Because NASA was like established in '58, and then a year later, I guess he was like, those nerds are doing something good because he gave them all the power. He said all things space related now go to NASA, not the military. Um, so yeah, this day in history is kind of like when NASA became NASA.
So I
Because
want.
a year before that, it was the NACA basically,
Yeah, I wonder how things have
like the
changed
Aeronautical
though
Committee.
since then when Eisenhower, gave space responsibility to NASA. Like how things have changed with Space
Mm.
Force. When that was 2017 or
You could,
2018. I
yeah,
can't remember when
actually,
that.
when you think of it that way, it is sort of like Eisenhower made Space Force. Like when he said, all right, military, send your stuff to NASA, the new Space Force. Um, I don't know. When was it? Was it 2017?
I know it was
That
shortly
sounds that
after.
sounds right to
Yeah,
me.
I think it
Yeah.
was. I think Space Force was, and then shortly after Netflix made their Space Force show that I've actually never
Yeah, that
seen.
was a bad show.
Okay,
It's not
it's
good.
not good.
There there's yeah, they canceled it like abruptly. It was a failure. It did get a little bit better in season 2, like some laugh out loud moments, but overall it's just like, who's this for? It's kind of like it's got a
Yeah,
weird tone. There was this one girl that I knew that was on the show though. She This girl
really.
from Vero. I saw the name in the credits and I was like, I guess it's a common name, but then I looked it up and I was like, because I'm looking at her, I'm like, is that her? Like, I haven't seen her since like high school,
Wow,
and
good for
yeah,
her.
she was just like one of the people like who would be like in the background, sort of like telemetry check, we're good on telemetry. Like she didn't have a whole lot of like
Yeah,
main parts, but
systems are nominal.
she was just like yeah, basically
Yeah.
that's what she was. But it was cool being like, wait, I know that girl. Um, yeah, that was not a good show. And also it was weird because it was like it felt like it was making fun of Space Force, but I think Space Force is a cool thing.
Yeah,
If anything, like that's one of the better things Trump did, being
yeah,
like, let's make this a real, new branch of the military. I'm like, hell yeah.
yeah.
But it was sort of like a joke. Like, look how goofy our president is. He made a Space Force. But I
As
was
long
like,
as we don't
I don't know
do
if he
anything
did.
irresponsible with Space Force and start, you know,
Mm.
you know what I mean, getting involved in stuff we shouldn't be.
Dude, I'll tell you something irresponsible that we could do with Space Force. There's the scientist who put out this really, really crazy sci-fi idea to make a solar shield attached to an asteroid to like
Solar shield.
minimize climate change. So the model I looked at was very odd. It was basically like that you would capture an asteroid somewhere between the sun and the Earth,
Mm-hmm.
our Earth, and you would tether this thing to a large shield, so that thing would be like the counterweight holding it in place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is so complicated, but like, I don't know, something
How?
about the article, like it was like a popular mechanics article. It was like real science. It wasn't just like a crazy idea. I mean, it is a crazy idea, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it wasn't like a talking about like building a Dyson sphere. It wasn't that sci-fi. It was like, okay, we could do this. We could capture an asteroid. We could tether it to this little thing. But I'm just like, huh,
Wait.
that seems.
So a shield, but what does the shield do? Like, what are we doing with this? Is it getting power? Are we
This
harvesting?
the shield, I think, is just reflecting, um, I guess, light from Earth.
What?
I don't understand how it
This
would
doesn't make any
work, but
sense
he
to
was
me.
like, in this model that I looked at, it's like this could actually like it could minimize climate change, or it could completely reverse it. And I'm like, how?
I feel like you need more
So
evidence before you pitch this idea. If it could go
let's
either
let's
way,
let's do this.
that sounds like you're just guessing. You know?
Let's imagine that this is the asteroid. Okay,
Hmm.
now here's this is going to be the space shield, and now they're going to tether. So this is going to be like, yeah. How would that reflect anything anywhere in a good way?
In a
And also,
useful
couldn't
way.
it
Like
maybe
what's useful about
how could
this?
couldn't it potentially like even point back and like now we're like burning ants? Like it's like
Oh, is it?
reflecting light
Oh,
like a parabola.
is this doing like some high powered reflective laser where it's just gonna be like shooting like lasers
I
everywhere in
think
space?
that's the idea.
Yeah,
I I think that's the idea.
that
Like
sounds nuts.
it's diffraction, I think.
Hmm.
But hey man, I like big ideas. So I was like, that's kind of cool, but also maybe yeah, when I think about it, like actually like a physical model, I was trying to think of like you're the sun, I'm the earth, here's the asteroid, here's like the tethers, and then the shield is, how would it help? I
Yeah, I don't
still don't
know.
like when I think
Well,
Yeah,
speaking
there was
of,
just like one article on it.
I was gonna say, speaking of your thing you were doing to illustrate this
Okay.
idea, that reminds me of there's a NASA mission coming up at the beginning of next year for a new solar sail type deployment
Hmm.
mechanism. I'm trying to remember. It was what was it called? ACS3 or something like that. Um, it's
Hmm.
I guess they're going to be testing like deploying like maybe larger solar sails um, to be used
Okay.
for you know I guess a cheap way to traverse space. What are your thoughts on solar sails? Do you
I
think they're
don't
cool?
know a lot about them. I thought, I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, have we successfully used them? Because the only time I remember was that scout mission, and I didn't think it worked.
I think we've proven that it works. It just doesn't work. Uh, it's you can't really get out of like low Earth orbit. You know what I mean? With a solar sail, you can change your
Uh,
orbit a little bit. Um, I'm more interested because I know this is like I forget. There's some researchers or scientists that brought up a possible way we could go to a different star system using nano spacecrafts with solar sails, and then like using high-powered lasers. To me, that's interesting. So
hmm.
any new advancements we can make with solar sails, to me, I'm interested in because I think that'd be cool to do.
When I was uh when I was reading about Oumuamua, I think I always say it wrong, but I'm always going to say it that way. That was like the cigar-shaped interstellar object.
Or,
Um,
right, or turd shaped.
yeah, it depends on how you look at it. I I was like looking at articles about this and like, is there any possible way to catch up to it? And there was some possibilities with CubeSats and solar sails.
Mm,
I was like, that's pretty cool. You should catch up to it and actually see what it is. Um, I would love to have an actual picture, not just some artist's rendering of it,
yeah,
but it's too far gone. Um, I don't know. I don't really know about solar sails and probably as much as I know about solar shields. you know.
yeah. I mean, I didn't
Um,
know much about it either. I just know it was first tested, I think, by Japan in 2010, and then since then
yeah.
there's been several countries, including us, that we've done like small, solar sail experiments where they've it's you can use photons and like use it as a way to propel something in space, but I don't know
Yeah.
if it's like practical yet. You know,
Yeah. Did you ever see the Disney movie Treasure Planet?
I know what you're talking about, but I've not seen it. I know there was like
I
it kind of seems similar.
I've never seen it either, but I remember like imagery from it, and I think that the guy had like kind of like a solar sail spaceship, sort of like a pirate ship type
Yeah,
homage.
yeah,
That's pretty much as I know about solar sails. Is that I think they were in Treasure Planet, the movie I have not seen.
yeah. From a high level, I mean that's basically it, right? You're sailing with solar winds. it's not
Yeah.
it's not that much more complicated. I know all the material they use. I'm sure is way more complex, but that's
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
for sure. What is it made of? Do you know, like the material?
Uh, I think I have some stuff that, or I looked up some stuff before about this. What was it made out of? I guess I don't. I jotted a couple things down regarding
Mm,
are you talking about the one that NASA's going to be testing with? It's called the Advanced Composite
yeah.
Solar Sail System.
Was it like graphene or something?
I don't know. I should have had a link open where I could pull this up real quickly, like Jamie. I'm a bad Jamie.
I I've been reading so much this week about just little tiny things, little tiny like space stories, and it scares me. Like when
Like
I just
what?
think about it, like the James Webb telescope just found this new planet that has its atmosphere is made up of aerosolized quartz.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wow, that is gnarly. I mean, it's just scary to think of like all the possibilities. But also when I was thinking about like you know, the show For All Mankind, which I feel like is like I want to see more things like that happen before we start thinking about crazy things like colonizing Mars. I want to see like some stuff on the moon.
Oh, for
Let's have a
sure.
little like, base in the moon. Let's see if they can actually do this like this plan they have right now of using lasers and mirrors to make roads on the moon. Like
Yeah.
let's do that kind of stuff first. But then I was thinking about like a lot of times when I like to imagine like how we're gonna explore space successfully, I think of the issues like the challenges we're faced with being mostly distance and resources. Those are like the two big challenges, right?
Yeah.
But like
And time,
there's
right?
other ones like
Like if distance
time,
distance is
time,
factor with time.
time and distance.
Yeah, they go hand in
Yeah,
hand.
they're like cousins. But like thinking in like terms of like there's like there's cataclysms on other planets. Like the biggest earthquake ever recorded on or Mars-quake, um, just happened like a week ago
Did it
or this
really?
past week.
I didn't think Mars had tectonic plates for
They
uh
have something because they had a 5 on the Richter scale or whatever the Mars scale
wow.
is. Um,
So
so can you just imagine like you get there, you get there successfully, you
yeah.
get people there, you get resources there, you bring like that gold box, the oxygen machine that NASA developed. It's called MOXIE, I think.
I don't
Like
tell me about that because I have
it's
not
a
heard that.
it's like a super delicate piece of equipment that basically just it's a super advanced air filter that
Okay.
gets like the little bit of oxygen in the Mars atmosphere and it cleans it up, makes it breathable. It's like a
Okay.
small, I think it's like the size of like a microwave, and it's just like some gold box. I think it's called Moxie. I should have looked this up. It's super delicate though, and it's not like there's a backup Moxie system. So let's say you get people to Mars, you get that thing there, you start making some kind of a little base, and then an earthquake knocks out your oxygen machine. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's that's terrifying. Um, it's so delicate. Like that's the distance
Now
problem.
if they're small though,
Then it's
couldn't we send two of those? Or are they just really difficult
I
to
think
make
it's
and
I
engineer?
think it's really difficult. I think they just have one they've built so far,
Hmm.
and I'm not even sure how long it lasts. We should look that up and talk about it next week if there's some good literature on it.
Yeah.
MOXIE. I'm pretty sure it's called the Moxie box. It's a gold oxygen magic box. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I
No,
think I saw it on like a Nova, PBS Nova or something like that a long time ago, but I know that's very fundamental to actually as getting there, like
yeah. I think
getting
with how
there
long it
surviving.
takes to get there, 6 months, like just that space travel alone, like I think people would go crazy in the spaceship. It would be just like that movie, that comedy movie. Crap, what was it called? Do you remember there?
Rocketman.
It was Rocketman. Yes, yes. Thank you. Um,
Yeah. Harlan Williams.
yeah, where he goes crazy and he like makes like a huge painting, um, with like food
Oh,
paste.
with the food.
Yeah, with the food paste for
Yeah.
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 Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I saw that movie like it was you remember they used to do like birthday parties at the movie theater and they'd have like this little
Oh
like
yeah,
room
they still have those.
like upstairs.
They still have those
I
today.
didn't know if that was still a thing. I saw that movie at like a birthday party and like they gave us a bunch of like Rocket Man like merch and it wasn't a great movie.
As a kid,
Kind of
I
silly.
thought it was funny, but I'm sure it's not good, as an adult. There's a lot of things that I was like, oh, I used to love this movie, and I'll
Like
rewatch it, and it's like garbage.
I'm trying to remember like why did they send him? Because he's clearly like a dummy. Why did they send him to Mars?
Yeah, he was special. Um, yeah, I don't remember why. I just remember his character was like goofy and stupid funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I agree with you though. The moon makes sense to send people to, and like let's just send Tesla bots to Mars. I still want to explore Mars. I think that's cool,
Mm-hmm.
but let's send robots with cameras so we don't have to worry about going crazy on a space, a trip to Mars and possibly dying because we don't,
Yeah.
it's not habitable for us. But
I don't know if I would go crazy. I think there's this movie called Ad-Astra. It's a Brad Pitt space movie,
Hmm.
and that movie is very peaceful to me. It's like it's just it's a lot of isolation, but there's something peaceful about it.
But it's
It's
also
also a ridiculous movie because it's like he goes to like Pluto in a day, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna go home, and then he just like it's like instant travel in that movie. It doesn't
right.
make any sense.
Yeah, but it's also a
It's
movie where
sci-fi.
it's like you're watching an hour and a half movie or 2 hour movie, and it's like, oh, a week's gone by. That was nothing. It's like you didn't actually
Yeah,
experience the, you know,
it just appealed to
solitary
me. Like it
confinement.
didn't. I just remember watching the movie being like, I would love to live this movie. Like there's other space movies where I'm just or for all mankind. Actually, that show does give me like the isolation, like the fears of isolation.
Hmm.
Um, that I love that show so much.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
looking
glad it's
forward to
coming
that.
back next month.
Yeah, that new season.
That so like what I was saying about like like earthquakes or Mars-quakes. I keep saying earthquake. I'm so Earth centric.
It's not all about
It's
you.
just there's a lot of places in space, like even the moon. I mean, like it's like ancient volcanic activity on the moon, but still, like right now there's this weird hotspot on the moon.
Hmm.
Um, that's like kind of being monitored just because it's like, why is that? It's like on the dark side of the moon. There's this big giant slab of granite,
Hmm.
and underneath it, I guess there's some like ancient venting um, that's causing it to just radiate heat. So it's like thinking that it's like, I mean, not like it's gonna come up to the surface. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess there is magma in the moon, but it's not. Just still thinking it's like it's all scary, and there's probably a lot of problems we haven't even thought about yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be risky no matter
I don't
what.
know.
I think any human space travel is risky.
I would love to ask like NDT and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Elon and stuff like how long would it take for you to see some success like with colonization of another planet before you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Like how many people are you gonna send as your guinea pigs before you're like, sign me up? I think most of them would be very conservative about it. Be like, I'm gonna wait till it's like
Wait till I'm dead.
really comfortable. Probably, yeah.
They'll just
I
sign up to
can't
have
see Elon.
their corpse sent up to be like, bury me on Mars or the
Yeah,
moon or somewhere.
I would love to be. I would love to be buried on Mars.
That's
Ooh,
probably going to be a new industry for
that
rich
will be a
people.
new industry. I think they have that now, like where you can get your ashes sent to space,
Yeah,
cremated in space.
there's some cheap ways to do
I
that.
don't.
They have that spin launch thing where you don't need a rocket, right? You just
Yeah,
catapult something up into
that's perfect. That's perfect for sending like payloads and stuff.
like small stuff.
I don't
Solar
know.
sails.
Yeah,
That would be good.
they could send CubeSats, solar sails, food for space stations. Yeah, it's like that is such a cool idea. What is it called? Is it called spin launch
Spin
or
launch.
whatever?
Yeah, spin launch.
What a great idea that is.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I think they're actually doing it. I don't think it's like an idea. I think they're actually sending small satellites, but it seems kind of crazy to
oh, I
do
didn't
that
know
though.
that. I thought they were.
Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah,
look that
I wonder
up.
how many they just like launched straight into the ground. Like they didn't calibrate it right, and it's just like
Have
blew up the machine.
have you
I'm
ever
sure that happened.
have you ever seen like an image of what the place looks like? It's
Yeah,
like on top of a mountain
I've
it
seen.
looks like, and it's like slanted, and they got that centrifuge, to wind it up and then launch it out.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I thought I read that they launched some stuff, but I don't know for sure.
I'm not sure. I feel like it's just been in the testing phase. But that was a long time ago when I read about it. So yeah, it probably is being used or implemented. I hope it is because it's such a cool idea.
Yeah. Um,
What
there.
else is going on in space?
Well, you brought up this in a previous episode that is was unaired. The Psych mission. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. Um, so it's it's potentially a the core of a planet.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know, that's just a wild, like big giant chunk of metal. Um, but it is going to take 6 years to get there. You know,
Yeah.
so
Could this solve
actually,
our national debt problem? Could we just like put a flag on it because it's worth like quintillion dollars? Could we just like put a United States
if
flag
we
and be
could
like,
tow
and
it,
then we'll tell the Fed, we'll be like, all right, this is now we own this. We can put this as an asset for the United States and
mm,
print more money.
and we could value it however we want.
Yeah.
Really, there is nothing else like it. Yeah, it's actually I need to look it up because I'm wondering. I know it's a 6 year mission,
Hmm.
but it could be 3 years before it's like sending us some data back. I'm not sure,
Right.
but that's one that I'm going to keep my eye on.
Yeah, that's very
PSYCHE
interesting.
Mission. I thought that was cool. I just didn't care for the goofy way that they were talking about it on like NASA's social media. They're like the most metal mission ever. We're going to Psych, yeah. They were like referencing like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden and
Really.
stuff, and I'm like, it's a little silly. Yeah, it's a little silly.
They're just trying to get public
It is cool,
interest.
but
Yeah. So they can get more funding for it.
come on, good. My cat's trying to play fetch right now. Um,
So what other space stuff is going on? Um, Talked about solar sails, psych
something
mission.
uh something I think is interesting because it's one of those things that originally NASA was like, no, that doesn't exist. That's silly. That's conspiracy theory. Is the possibility of a ninth planet and the distant edge of our solar system.
Hmm.
And they say that there are some models like they would maybe have to like rethink about how gravity is how if there is a planet nine, how that's affecting gravity. Sorry, my cat's acting a little crazy right now. It was a little distracting. I'm trying to get her to
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, that
chill.
it's so far out, right? Like you think about like all the
Yeah.
discoveries, like we've discovered dwarf planets like further out in orbit that,
Mm-hmm.
as recently I think as uh past Pluto, I think was 2005. They had discovered, a dwarf planet, but um yeah, it could be we just don't have a complete well, we don't have a complete picture of gravity, right? There's quantum gravity, but
We don't.
there's also
Right.
like what you were talking about. What was the term they called that? There's some. I know you sent me a link about it. Um, there was
I'm
some
not sure
acronym
what
for
you're
it.
referring to.
There was an acronym for the that Planet Nine stuff that you were talking about, where they had they were talking about
I
Newtonian,
can't
like an
remember.
yeah, it's some like altered version of Newtonian like gravity physics or something that could
Mhm.
explain Planet Nine, but um, I should have been better
I
prepared where I know what this
in like
is.
2012 when the Mayan calendar was ending and there was like all these things online about potential ways the world could end, and the Planet Nine. There's a name for it. They called it something and like it's Narubu or something like that.
Her
It started
name
with an N,
her name was
and
Pluto.
back then I was reading about it, not like thinking that a planet was going to crash into the Earth,
Hmm.
but I was more reading about it being like in the scientific context of NASA being like absolutely not. That's the silliest thing ever.
Yeah,
And now you read articles all the time, and they're like it's possible actually. It could be a free floating planet on a very odd orbit.
yeah.
Something that takes a strange amount of time and is never quite even.
I've heard some
I don't
wild
know.
things
I like to
too,
think about that.
where they said that it could be a like a small grape size grapefruit, not grape, grapefruit size black hole. Like,
Something really dense.
yeah, that could also explain it. So it's we're kind of all just speculating, I
Yeah.
guess. That would make it hard to find
Yeah.
if it was a small black hole.
Yeah. Something. Okay. 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 um, it's like she's been just like napping all day, and
Hmm.
then I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna record a podcast now. She's like, I'm gonna act like I have rabies. Like, she's. I'm trying to get her to like go under the cubbies. Go under the cubbies. That's under the covers. She likes to sleep under the cubbies.
Yeah, my cat likes that too.
Um, there's So actually, something I think we talked about in episode one has already happened. We were talking about how AI can be trained to like find like Earth-like planets, for example.
Hmm.
And there was a program created. Um, it's called the BTSBOT. Forget what BTS stands for. Uh,
Something.
bright bright something bot, and
Hmm.
it detected, it identified and classified a supernova without any human intervention at all.
Wow.
And supernova is like seeing that like live is like catching a cosmic needle in a cosmic
Right.
haystack. It's like just so unlikely. But this machine learning already, like it was like, all right, I'm finding there's some pattern recognition here. All right, there's a supernova, and then I'm going to publish the paper for you automatically. I was like, that's so
That
cool.
is really
Now, if they
cool.
could do something like a similar program to like maybe um, track something like a potential interstellar object, I think that'd be even cooler.
Yeah.
Supernovas sound beautiful, but there's not a whole lot we're going to learn from that, really, except for,
Yeah, it's interesting
I don't
stuff.
know what we would learn
I
from.
think detecting asteroids that might hit us, that would be very
Yeah.
valuable for
Yeah. Well,
AI to do.
I feel like that would be the same program as the interstellar object program, just looking for any kind of weird trajectories, something a little
Yeah.
bit unusual. Um, I like that though. I like that something we already discussed is I think in the past week been like proven science. Like, okay,
Yeah, that AI
this
stuff is
program
moving
we
fast.
wrote really fast. I listened to the Sam Altman interview, and I liked his attitude on it. He admitted, he's like, yeah, there are going to be some things we don't like about it,
Right.
but and there are going to be people losing their jobs. But I did like his hopefulness
Yeah, he's
about
pretty
how it's going to change
optimistic.
the world for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, that was a good interview. I always get when I talk about it though, I always get Sam Altman and Sam Bankman, the FTX guy. I get those because they're both sort of like around,
Right.
they're sort of in similar spaces at a similar time. Sam Bankman, Sam Altman, but one of them is a bad guy, and one of them I think is a delightful guy.
Yeah.
Um, Jeez, I'm trying to think of other space and AI stories I've read this week. I might have covered all of them.
Yeah, I think
I think I probably.
I think we did. I know in that interview they were talking
Oh,
about
there was.
AGI a lot, which I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
looked.
They
I
they.
actually didn't know what
Uh,
that acronym was. AGI. I was like, what does that mean? General.
is generative
Artificial
general.
general.
Oh
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's supposed to be like, I guess where you get to a certain point where, like right now, we're making all these like very specific AI systems, right? Like ChatGPT is a
yeah.
chatbot AI thing. AGI is supposed
Mhm,
to be, I think, where it can just do anything, right? Like
mhm.
I don't know what that would look like though. Like, is it a program? Is it a robot that has AGI where it's just connected to everything?
Yeah. Is it tangible? I don't
It's
know.
some
I
emergent
did.
artificial property, AI property, I guess. I don't know.
That sounded good. Clip that. We'll make a montage in a theme song. That's a good clip right there. Actually, I do remember an AI story. It was a scary one though, because it's like totally unprecedented. There's a drone that is now, it's like hunting for Russians unassisted, no human
Oh
intervention.
shit.
It's just like it's a drone. It's a Terminator drone. It's I don't understand exactly how it works. I'm assuming they're sending it to regions where they know there's no good guys here. Otherwise, that seems like it could be a problem.
Dangerous.
You know,
Yeah.
just sending a drone off, and being like, "Go kill the bad guys." It must be doing something like in a very specific region, and it knows it's a kill bot, and it's going to this place. And once it has some like human contact, it's like, okay, destroy all humans. But that's scary because that is the first time we've ever had a Terminator type weapon in a active war,
Yeah. So this is going on right
killing
now with
people.
Ukraine and Russia?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Ukraine is the first country to to bring on Judgment Day. It seems like.
I
I
know.
mean, there were some videos like earlier in the Ukraine conflict, like probably actually maybe even going back to like when they were annexing Crimea, but there was these like cheap knockoff like Chinese versions of the Boston Dynamics like Astra bots, and they were just like they were putting like AR-15s on them. I think that was more for just like we're being silly on TikTok. I don't think they were actually
Right.
using them. But this what's going on in Ukraine right now with like AI drones is really scary. That's like the beginning of the end.
Mm.
And they also just got $60 billion. So
Ukraine did.
I guess yeah, they got the most money from
It seems like we're doing a
our
lot of
105.
we're testing a lot of like military stuff in this scenario. You know, like new military equipment.
Yeah, yeah. I think those pack flat drones, like the ones that are basically like, cardboard
Hmm.
planes with a little motor and they can put a payload on it. That's fine. But once you start having AI drones and we're sending that much money, I'm like, okay, I don't like where this is going. I mean, no one does. It's war. It's
Yeah.
unpleasant. But I'm trying not to focus on it too much. I'm trying to focus on the good things. Like it's
HyperX.
basketball season and the Broncos are doing great. That was sarcasm. That was the most sarcastic thing I've said all day. Hey, this is not a sponsor, but I really, really enjoy it. It's Jason Momoa water. You know the guy plays he
Aquaman.
plays like a
I never saw Aquaman,
Aquaman.
but
Yeah.
I
It's so
is
dumb.
it
It's a
dumb? Yeah.
dumb movie.
I just know he
It
plays
was
in it.
really dumb. You know what he is good in? I think it's actually the most I've ever liked him is he's the bad guy in the new Fast and the Furious movie,
Hmm.
and he's so funny. He plays it kind of like Jack Sparrow. He's all like prancing around, doing evil stuff, but he's really funny.
This is like walking really
I'd
flamboyant.
recommend that. Yeah, but not just that. He's making silly sounds while he does it. He's like, "Let's go!" Woo-hoo-hoo!" And like he's like a bad guy. But he's like really animated. It's a fun juxtaposition. Um, so between him being a really fun bad guy and the Rocket League scenes, I recommend Fast X. Hey, look, we brought it back to another X.
Fast 10, Fast
It's the
X.
theme.
Yeah.
The the X is the through line. Um,
That's what we're gonna call this episode.
I want to tell you. I want to, dude. That's perfect. That's on my whiteboard. Is I was gonna say we need to name episodes because like I really like that. Whenever like there's a classic episode of a podcast I liked,
Mhm.
and I don't like think what year was it? Could it be like episode 100, 102? Like
It's
it's
not
easier when you have a
memorable.
good name.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Like I'll tell you. Here's a good one. I think this is such a funny story. You've seen 40-Year-Old Virgin, right?
Yeah.
You remember the scene where they kind of figure out they're like, oh, he's never had sex with a woman. I think he's talking about like breasts, and he's like, oh, it's like a hard bag of sand, and they're like, oh, so you're a virgin. They kind of figure it out.
Right, right.
There's a podcast I listen to where this guy constantly talks about being this tough young kid, did all the drugs and stole stuff, and then there's an episode where he's talking about smoking weed, and everyone's like, oh, so that was all a lie. You've never gotten high before, because he's like, yeah, we were just getting basted, and they're like, basted? What's that mean? He's like, when you get like really, really high, and they're like, basted? I've never heard of that before. And he's like, yeah, we were just. They're like, and he's like,
Oh my
he's
God.
blaming on Boston. He's like, oh, it's a Boston thing. We called it basted back then. And there's this other Boston guy in the room who's like, I'm from Boston. I've never heard of basted. He's like, no, it's like you remember your friends, they roll a fat luber and then you get basted on lubers, and they're like, what's a luber? He's like, it's a fat joint. You guys never smoked a luber? And they're like, oh, so Bobby's never gotten high before. That's what's going on here.
What was
But
this
I love
from?
that clip so much, and I'm glad it's from a podcast called You Know What, Dude?
You know what,
And
dude?
it's the
Yeah.
episode's called Based on Lubers. It's just a perfect like name
Yeah.
for a very historic episode of that show. So that's my plea to you to say let's name stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, we should probably call the first one the pilot. We should probably call this one
X. This is called X.
X X gonna give it to you. Is that a lyric from a song? We probably shouldn't do
I
that.
think we should
Yeah,
call
let's
it
just call it
X or
X.
10 question mark. X or
Yeah,
10?
let's let the fans decide.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Pepper X, a little Elon talk, a little
Yeah.
Planet X. Well,
Actually,
no,
we should
I don't
ask
know.
our viewers. Let us know in the comments. Do you think it's Pepper X or Pepper 10?
Yeah, but I think the guy
He,
Smoking Ed Curry says Pepper X a lot.
yeah.
I think there's a lot of references of him specifically saying Pepper X. Um, yeah, I'm gonna look it up too because if that sauce, the last one I had, if that was a Pepper X sauce, I need to get another bottle for myself, and I'll get one for you because it's a really good Pepper X sauce. Um, and hopefully my fermented sauce doesn't kill me because I would love to share it. It smells great. It looks good. It's silky smooth.
Does it scare you to like eat stuff that you ferment yourself like at all, or is that
A
is
little
that why you're
bit,
saying
but
that? Yeah.
I think yeah, it's a little scary, but it's also like I think if it passes the smell check, I think it's okay. You know,
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah, it should be
I
fine.
I think I think our senses are very in tune to like us not poisoning ourselves. Like you can tell like when something's rotten or
Right.
you know
I think we should have some sort of outro for the episode. I don't know what we do.
yeah.
Like we say
Um
that concludes today's episode. I don't know.
yeah, like
Or do we just end it
Lex
here?
Friedman. I mean we could just end it. We could. I mean, I really like the idea of ending on a cliffhanger. You know,
Stay
so
tuned for next week for
how about we?
yeah, let's what are we going to talk
No,
about?
we gotta create a little drama. So
Okay.
all right, man, Kevin. Before let's keep all this in. By the way, this is good. So Kevin,
Brainstorming.
before we wrap it up here, I mean, there's something that's been on my mind. Um, it's hard to talk about. It really is hard to talk about. But you know, I just want to keep the momentum of the show going. So let's just get it over with. And it's gonna be a little uncomfortable to talk about, but we'll get past it. We're best buds. It's all good. Um, actually, damn dude, I have a phone call. Can we talk about this next week?